It's time to do a wrap up of December, the last one of 2024. Hi, Katie here, better known as Reading with Katie Louise, and I'm here to bring you my December wrap up. I can't believe we've actually just done the last wrap up of 2024. So December actually seems to be a bit of a weird month. I read 11 books. Currently questioning how, considering I barely read in December, but I do think audiobooks sort of came into that. So as much as I feel like I didn't read, I probably had my headphones on a lot more to zone out. So we're going to talk about the books that I read, what I rated them. There are a lot of lower ratings this month. I think the slump hit me well, but let's get into it. The first book of December was The Antisocial Season by Adele Book. Now, I am aware this is book 2 in a series. I never got around to reading book 1, but it was a Christmas book I wanted to pick up, and I was quite intrigued by it. I was actually kindly gifted this by HarperCollins as well, so I just felt I needed to read it and bring a review. That being said, I rated it 3 stars. This was so slow going. So it follows a firefighter, the female main character, who has decided to leave being a firefighter to go into the social media side of things with the same HQ, where she meets Librarian who's showing her the ways, and they're actually like old friends from back in school or college. It was slow burn to say the least. I don't know. I don't know if it was the slump or the book, but I just could not get with this. There were a lot of point of view changes, but within a chapter. So, for me, I struggled with this purely because, you'd be talking with the female main character, and the next minute it's the male main character. There's no indication of change within that chapter, it's just a new paragraph. So I did struggle with that, which is probably what started the slump, that being book 1 of December. But yeah, it was a 3 star, but I wouldn't say I'd recommend it. It wasn't for me at all, and if you struggle with point of view changes, definitely don't recommend it for you. Next up, and my first audio pick of the month, and it was Christmas Tree Farm by Laurie Gilmore. Now, I did rate this 4 stars. However, this is my least favourite in the Dream Harbour series so far. So, if you're not aware, this is the Pumpkin Spice Cafe and Cinnamon Bun Bookstore series, and this is the 3rd one. There is a 4th one, I believe, releasing this year. Is it the Strawberry Pancake House? I'll put the graphic up. So this one follows someone who buys a Christmas tree farm but actually hates Christmas. It baffled me to say the least, and I did struggle to get into it, but actually once I knuckled down and listened to it, I did actually really enjoy it. So it follows the 2 characters. There's someone who comes into town who is only here for a short while, and he basically helps her find the love of Christmas. It is cutesy. There is spice, guys. Don't let the cute covers ever deceive you in the series. The whole of the series definitely is not cute. But I liked where the relationship was going. It had the standard getting stuck in the snow kind of vibe, which I think most Christmas books do now. But yeah, I did really enjoy this in the end, but it's a very low 4 star and definitely my least favourite in the series. Next up, and not necessarily following the theme of Christmas books, but is winter themed, is Rock, Paper, Scissors by Alice Feeney. So this actually was book club's pick for December, and I'm so glad because I have really enjoyed Alice Feeney as an author. I've read His and Hers, which was a 5 star, and I've also read Sometimes I Lie, which was a 4 star. Both of those, though, I did actually listen to on audio. So this is the first time me reading a book by Alice Feeney. So this follows a couple who have gone to a remote, chapel kind of thing that the female main characters won in a raffle, and basically they go up there. They both have different ideas of what they plan to do, and there's also the letters from every anniversary. And Rock, Paper, Scissors, the reference does make sense when you read the book. Now, I've rated it 4 stars, and it's a high 4 star. The beginning for me was a bit like, well, where is this going? But actually, once you get into it and towards the end, oh my gosh, my jaw was on the floor. The twists in this were phenomenal. I did not expect it to go where it went. And, I feel like it's almost ended. You could bring another book out for this, in my opinion. I cannot begin to express how good this book was. It was just, yeah, I just wanted to keep reading. I found it really hard to stop each week, but I am so glad that all the action was in the last week's worth of pages. We did only read this over 3 weeks with the Christmas period, but wow, definitely recommend this, guys. I am going to be finishing Alice Feeney's backlog in 2025. Yeah, and I cannot wait to do that because I have not rated one of her books less than 4 stars yet. Next up was The Christmas Killer by Alex Pine. So this is my first time reading this author, and I noticed that I picked up book 3 in the series at the works. So I wanted to go and have a look at book 1 and 2, and they were fortunately on Kindle Unlimited. So The Christmas Killer, it's the D.I. James Walker series. You guys know I love a detective series, and it follows James Walker as basically he's moved into Kirkby Abbey, and he gets a note with an unalived pigeon in a box saying that there are 12 days of Christmas and there will be 12 unalive-ins. He thinks it's a hoax, and then on day one, there isn't an unalive-in, but he just doesn't want to believe it. Apparently, they all deserve it. I really enjoyed this and rated it 4 stars. Again, I was slumping a little bit, so it did take me a week to read this, but it's actually really enjoyable, and I loved the premise of this. I would recommend you pick up the series at Christmas. Obviously, it's set around Christmas and New Year. All of Alex Pine's books are, which is why I only managed to get through 2, which you'll see later on in this video. I did want to try and get the whole series down, but I always did give myself an ambitious TBR. But it's fine because I did really enjoy this book. I liked the twists in it, I liked where it was going, and I liked the character development. I love a detective series, so I was very excited to see where book 2 went. Next up, I had to pick up this novella, and that was The Mistletoe Mystery by Nita Prose. Now, you guys know that I love The Maid, and I loved The Mystery Guest. I just generally love Molly. Her character is so well written, and if you love a character-driven mystery, then this series is definitely for you. I have just requested the arc for the 3rd book in the Molly the Maid series, so I do hope that I can get it. So this is a novella set around Christmas, and it was an hour long. I listened to it in audio, an hour or two, and I really enjoyed it and rated it 4 stars. Yet again, Molly is a well-loved character. It's still a murder mystery, but yeah, it was just, I just love Molly. I could just read about Molly all day. It doesn't even need to have the mystery behind it. I just love her character. Now, I don't think it's actually designed that she is neurodiverse, but I think that's the vibe that they're trying to give off. And I just love that about Molly, her particular, just a particularness to things, like how routine she is, how OCD she is. I just love that about her. And definitely think you guys need to look into the Maid and the Mystery Guest if you haven't already. Next up is another audiobook, and as I said, I think that's how I have got through most of my books. I think half of my books this month have been audiobooks, and the next one was The Christmas Wish by Lindsay Kelk. Back in October, I read Love Story and I rated that one 4 stars. However, I rated this one 3. I did not enjoy this half as much. Even as an audio where you can slog through it, I just did not want to listen to it. So this follows a woman who wakes up on Christmas Day again and again and again. It is like Groundhog Day. Now, it's going to sound silly when I say this book is repetitive. Of course it is. It's the storyline. Basically, she has to figure out who made a wish on a sixpence, and has to make that wish come true to be able to see Boxing Day. I can't say more than that, but I think she woke up far too many times, in my opinion. And there was just nothing happening until the last, 10% of the book, which is why it got 3 stars. But yeah, unfortunately, this really didn't hit the mark for me, and I did love Love Story, which it is so disappointing when you end up disliking another book by the author. But yeah, unless you don't mind repetitiveness in a book, I probably wouldn't recommend this one. So next up was another Alex Pine book, and that was Killer in the Snow. So this is book 2 of the James Walker series, and this one follows 3 people who have been unalived in their family home, apart from one of them was stabbed, the other 2 were shot. Something doesn't seem quite right, and what you actually discover is 24 years ago, there was another incident where a couple were unalived and the daughter went missing and she was never found. This really picked up about halfway, and I, like I said, rated it 4 stars and really, really enjoyed it. I read this a bit quicker, to be fair. I did start to get towards the end of my working term, so I did have a bit more time on my hands. But yeah, this was such an enjoyable read. You do not see it coming. It is a dual timeline as well, so it follows basically it follows James Walker in the present, but then it goes back to things that happened, and it follows the point of view of one of the girls that is unalived. But yeah, you just find out a series of events that have happened. It follows different points of view. The reason it didn't get 5 is because the points of view were always clear, especially with it being a dual timeline. But nonetheless, I loved the premise of this book, and I'm gutted I actually didn't get to read any more of Alex Pine. I will obviously be picking up book 3 come December in 2025, but yeah, definitely worth picking up at Christmas. I wish I'd discovered Alex Pine a bit sooner, but I haven't, but at least it gives me a TBR for December next year. Next up was another audiobook pick, and that was Merry Little Meet Cute by Julie Murphy and Sierra Simone. I rated this 3 stars. I didn't really enjoy it, I'm not going to lie. So this follows a woman who is actually in inappropriate, I don't even know how to explain this without probably getting brought up for it on social media sites, but basically she's a sex worker. And she wants to go into a bit of a mainstream acting job, and people don't know who she is apart from the guy she's acting alongside. He happens to be one of her biggest fans on this site that she's on. So obviously they start getting along. The reason this got 3 stars for me, it was cringy. I could not cope with some of the words that we use in here. If you've read this book and I say gingerbread lotion to you, you probably understand. But I was just cringing far too much at this. It got 3 stars because I liked the romance between the couples. But actually, the rest of it for me was just too cringy. I don't think the spice was well written at all. Yeah, I don't know. It just didn't quite sit right for me. I was gifted it, but yeah, unfortunately, it didn't quite hit the point, but at least I gave it a read. But yeah, it was a 3-star read. On to my last audiobook pick of December now, and that is Look Up Handsome by Jack Strange. Now, I actually picked this up as a buddy read. I had every intention of reading this in December, and we did decide to do it as a buddy read. However, I was slumping still by the end of December. I've discovered other hobbies such as colouring, and I've just not felt inclined to pick up a book. So I did have time to pick up this in audio because I didn't want to do another audio before the end of the year. And I rated it 4 stars. So this is actually set on Hay-on-Wye. So for those that don't know, that is the bookish town, very much down south of England, sort of near Wales. And it follows basically a bookshop owner and an author. So the bookshop owner is at risk of having he is getting evicted by his stepdad, no less. And basically, he's fighting to keep his store. Noah, who is the author, used to live in Hay-on-Wye, had a bit of family trauma and left, has come back to visit his mum. And yeah, basically, they end up hitting it off. It is a cute romance, and I love the premise. That's why it got 4 stars. I did really enjoy listening to this, and it actually got me back into wanting to listen to books again. So it did help me a little bit out of my slump. The only reason it did get 5 is because I would have loved another point of view in this book. So it is purely from the point of view of Quinn, the book owner, and it would have been really nice to have Noah's point of view as well. Like, it was a single point of view, which isn't a bad thing, but I think when you're having a romance and the romance is building from like a friendship and you just see one side, I think that's the only reason I dropped a star, really. I did like the premise of the story and how it ended, but yeah, just for me, I would have liked a double point of view. Now, this book took me well off my December TBR, but I had it recommended by Molly, a friend, and that was My December Darling by Lauren Asher. Now, I haven't actually read anything by Lauren Asher, and after reading My December Darling, it might be an author I add to my TBR down the line. So I did rate this 4 stars. So this follows a couple who start out as like friends. So the female main character has basically come home. She's like a travelling nurse, so she works in different hospitals, moves about, takes placements where there's jobs, moves very much around different places. And it follows her when she comes back for her sister's wedding, who her sister just happens to be marrying her ex. She's perfectly okay with that. Basically, she's realised that he was with the wrong sister. Then comes along the groom's best friend, and they do know each other. They get on, start to realise they've got a lot of joint interests, and it just follows their story. But I just loved where this goes. Like the male main character was so lovely, so caring. Like, he wasn't putting any pressure on. The way their relationship built, the banter they built, they both work in hospital as well. And yeah, it was really, really lovely. And I loved where this went. It wasn't straightforward. It wasn't your usual ending like every single romance. So I did really enjoy it. I don't know why I didn't give it 5 stars, but it just didn't fully give me the 5-star feel, but gave me enough to recommend it. So that is the last wrap up of 2024. My January TBR is coming in a few days' time. But yeah, I managed to read 11 books in December, which, despite the fact I barely read in December, I don't know how I did that. Audiobooks did come into play with this, and I think they did help me through times when I just wanted to read a book but just didn't have the energy to pick one up. Obviously, a mixed bag. No 5 stars in December. I think Rock, Paper, Scissors definitely been the closest. I know I released my monthly favourites, but I definitely think Rock, Paper, Scissors should have been December's favourite. But Look Up Handsome was not a far second. But yeah, let me know what you read in December, guys, and if there's any books you think I need to add to my TBR, or if you've got any different opinions to these books, I'm all open for a different opinion. As always, guys, please like and subscribe for future videos, and thank you for joining me on another video.